Welcome back to Vibe Vision, where we dive deep into the cars that made history and left a lasting impression on enthusiasts around the world. Today, we're going to talk about a model that represents a unique chapter in Chevrolet's story, particularly in Brazil. This is the 1979 Chevrolet Opala, a car that blended American design language with a European-inspired compact frame, and in doing so became one of the most iconic vehicles to roll off Brazilian production lines. Let's explore its design, its performance, and the way it carried itself both inside and out. The first thing that draws attention when looking at the 1979 Chevrolet Opala is its exterior design. This was a time when cars were transitioning between the boxier lines of the 70s and the slightly smoother forms that would define the 80s, and the Opala captures that perfectly. The car borrowed much of its visual inspiration from the German Opel Rekord and the American Chevrolet Nova, merging those influences into something distinct for the South American market. At the front, the Opala presented a clean, balanced fascia, with rectangular sealed beam headlights sitting neatly at either side of a broad horizontal grille. Unlike many American Chevrolets of the same period, the Opala avoided excessive chrome and went for a more refined, understated aesthetic, which gave it a sophisticated edge. The 1979 model year in particular received some styling updates, including minor tweaks to the trim and detailing, which made it look modern for its time. Walking around the car, you notice its proportions. The Opala was a mid-sized sedan by Brazilian standards, offering a long hood, a simple but elegant roofline, and a squared-off rear. The wheel arches were subtly flared, and the lines along the body were straightforward, almost minimalist compared to its American cousins. What's important to understand here is that in Brazil, the Opala stood as a symbol of class and prestige. For many, owning one wasn't just about transportation, it was about status. Chevrolet offered the Opala in multiple body styles, including the four-door sedan, two-door coupe, and even a station wagon variant called the Caravan. The 1979 sedan version projected a balanced image of practicality and elegance, while the coupe carried a sportier, more aspirational vibe. Another standout feature on the exterior was its durability. The Opala had a reputation for being rugged, enough to deal with Brazil's diverse road conditions, from city streets to rural stretches, while still maintaining a modern, stylish presence. It wasn't over-designed, and that was exactly its charm. The simplicity of its design meant it aged gracefully, and even today, restored examples of the 1979 Opala look handsome and well-proportioned. Now moving on to performance, this is where the Opala really carved out its legacy. Chevrolet offered several engine options during this period, giving buyers a range of choices depending on their budget and desired driving style. The two most popular power plants were the 2.5-liter inline-4 and the 4.1-liter inline-6. The four-cylinder was dependable and efficient, making it the choice for everyday drivers. But it was the six-cylinder that enthusiasts craved. The 4.1-liter engine delivered a healthy amount of torque, and while the raw horsepower numbers weren't as dramatic as American muscle cars, the way it pulled from low revs made the Opala feel strong and responsive on Brazilian roads. The 1979 Opala wasn't a lightweight sports car by any means, but its chassis balance and rear-wheel drive setup gave it a more engaging character than many of its competitors. With the six-cylinder under the hood, it had genuine performance credibility. It could cruise comfortably on the highway, tackle long distances with ease, and still deliver enough excitement when you press down on the throttle. Chevrolet also paired these engines with manual and automatic transmission options, giving drivers some flexibility. The manual gearboxes were particularly loved by purists, as they allowed for a more connected driving experience. One of the aspects that really stood out about the Opala's performance was its durability under stress. These cars became popular not just with regular families and professionals, but also with police forces and even as competitive machines in Brazilian touring car racing. The robust 4.1-liter six-cylinder engine was highly tunable, and many racers modified them for higher output, creating a motorsport legacy that still echoes today. That racing pedigree added to the Opala's mystique, as it proved that the car wasn't just stylish, it was a real performer when pushed to its limits. On the road, the Opala struck a balance between comfort and firmness. The suspension setup was traditional, with independent front suspension and a solid rear axle, but it was tuned well enough to soak up imperfections while still providing decent control through corners. Compared to European imports of the time, it wasn't as sharp, but it was certainly more robust. For Brazilian buyers in 1979, it hit the sweet spot between American-style cruising and European-inspired drivability. Now let's take a quick look inside. The interior of the 1979 Chevrolet Opala reflected the understated elegance of its exterior. Chevrolet kept things simple but functional. The dashboard layout was straightforward, with large, easy-to-read dials and durable switchgear. Materials varied depending on the trim level, with the more basic versions offering vinyl and simple plastics, while higher trims included plush fabrics, wood grain accents, and more comfortable seating. For the late 70s, the Opala's cabin felt spacious and practical, especially in the four-door sedan configuration. Families appreciated the room in the back seat, while business professionals enjoyed the car's executive-like image. Though it wasn't overly luxurious, the interior did carry a charm. The seating position was commanding. Visibility was excellent thanks to the large windows, and the ergonomics were straightforward. Features were modest by today's standards, but things like air conditioning, AM/FM radios, and more upscale trim options gave buyers the ability to tailor their Opala to their needs. What's most remarkable is how well built the interiors were. Even decades later, many Opalas have survived with their cabins intact, which says a lot about the attention to durability in its design. When you put it all together, the 1979 Chevrolet Opala stands as a car that delivered a winning formula. Its exterior design was elegant without being flashy. Its performance, particularly with the inline-six, was more than enough to satisfy both casual drivers and enthusiasts, and its interior offered a blend of comfort and practicality. More than that, though, the Opala became part of Brazil's cultural fabric. It was aspirational, versatile, and dependable, making it a car that appealed to a wide range of people. Today, the 1979 Chevrolet Opala is celebrated as a classic. Enthusiasts restore them, showcase them at car meets, and race them in vintage events. It represents not only a significant piece of Chevrolet's history, but also a defining chapter in the story of Brazilian motoring. It was more than just a car. It was a status symbol, a performer, and a trusted companion. That's the story of the 1979 Chevrolet Opala, a car that combined style, strength, and substance in a way that left a lasting impact. Here on Vibe Vision, we love shining a light on vehicles like this. Machines that aren't just transportation but cultural icons. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the Opala, make sure to stick around for more automotive history and reviews.